there is a very substantial difference between the process of learning and the process of understanding. We are all educated, schooled, and conditioned to learn information primarily in a way aimed at solving problems in life. And I'm using the term conditioned, not in the negative sense, nor in the positive sense, purely in the neutral sense, in the sense that this is what it is. So, the learning process consists in fact, of an operation aimed at storing information from the environment, whether it be the real environment, the physical environment, the family, the group of people who interact with the tribe, the village, the town, the society, local or global, doesn't matter. Or could be information acquired from the literary environment, books, etc., or the digital environment, and so on. A process of storing the information in order to subsequently process this information and use it as intrinsic knowledge, trying to solve problems. Problems in life, any kind of problem, including psychological and even existential problems. Isn't it what we do? We use the knowledge we acquired, addressing very complex problems eventually, trying to solve them. So the execution of what has been learned, what is being stored, what is being archived in the brain, which then becomes memory, of course, therefore very often becomes a mechanical, repetitive process, which is, by the way, always second-hand, in the sense that is never original. We were not born with our knowledge, obviously, and as a matter of fact, there is no such thing as a genetically inherited thought process. Every thought process, every notion we have is acquired. The process of learning, indeed, can easily prevent an individual from the necessary condition to inquire for themselves in a way that should not be interfered by the knowledge that individual possesses, and where that knowledge is only used eventually merely as a type of assistance and never as a means to reach a conclusion, including an opinion, a view of life, a view on a problem of life. This is rather complex, a complex process of comprehension, but is nevertheless absolutely salient, and I will even say it is necessary, particularly nowadays, considering that the level of complexity in our life is constantly, perpetually on the rise. So the problem is also that we can very sophisticatedly learn how to solve problems. We can learn it in a very sophisticated form, which is obviously a good skill, no question about it. But these learned skills do not really help us understand what a problem actually is. Now, to be clear about all of this, certainly learning is absolutely important to acquire very important and often necessary notions. To learn how to solve the problems and how to create new things, for instance, is absolutely important. Only a fool will question the benefit involved in the act of learning. But this is not quite the point that we are trying to make here. In fact, all this type of learning is very important. So as to accumulate knowledge needed to solve technical problems. For example, like learning a language, learning mathematics, learning something that requires the scientific method to go through it, etc., etc., etc. Learning how to drive a car, learning how to move in a certain way, how to familiarize with certain environments, how to build the social skills, and all the rest of that. But these things are technical skills. Then there are things that cannot be learned. Again, learning certain things is important, but understanding without learning is equally important, probably even more. And it's rather complex to actually comprehend that there can be understanding without learning. To be even more clear about this, understanding what we do is also very important. What we do every day, what we do with our brain, what we do with our psychology every day. And the understanding that what we do in the sense of keeping our brain occupied every day, understanding that this constant occupation of the brain, for example, is constantly, perpetually aimed at guaranteeing continuity. Since we have almost, I will say, an ancestral fear that continuity can come to an end. So we keep our brain perpetually occupied, and also we have been schooled, we have been educated this way. Either directly or surreptitiously, doesn't matter, to keep constantly our brain occupied in order not to interrupt continuity. So, understanding this factor and also understanding the psychological and therefore collective implications that this fear, the fear of seeing the continuity coming to an end, is a type of comprehension that can only be understood. And this is just an example. This cannot be, in fact, learned, nor it can be acquired like any knowledge, any other knowledge that one can read and acquire from a book, for instance. There is therefore, and I repeat, this is only an example, there is therefore the possibility and even the necessity to understand certain things and certain problems in life without learning and without the knowledge that has been acquired. This is of course a rather superficial, not in the sense banal, but superficial way to explain this. Let's say merely a type of introduction on the subject. Indeed, this subject is extremely complex, but is very, very important to really grasp beyond the process of intellectualizing, to grasp the validity and the objectivity and the relevance of this possible thinking skill. And I really strongly believe that thinking skills like this, for those that can develop them, of course, not everyone can do it. These thinking skills are absolutely important in function also of having a future for these pieces that is exceptionally chaotic